YouTube, bro, check it out, man. We back. I'm back. We got wrestling content. We got wrestling content ahead of Elimination Chamber tomorrow. Let me see what I got. Let me see what prediction I got. I might just make a video on my predictions, bro. Nah, it'll be too short. I might just do a short on my prediction. Forget it. Who I got winning the men's chamber? Let me see. All right, for the women's chamber, what, Stephanie's fighting Liv, I guess. Bro, I don't know why I think this. I believe Raquel is gonna win the chamber, and she's not gonna pick Jade. She's gonna pick Stephanie, knowing that Liv has Stephanie. This is the time to break up the Judgment Day. It's been 2 years, too long. Break them up. Forget it. We got Finn having problems. Raquel, let's break it up. Forget it. I really don't care. But men's chamber, I don't know. I tell you who I don't. I know who's not going to win. Trick's not going to win. Javon's not going to win. Jay's not going to win. It comes down to Randy and Cody. Maybe Randy, so he can get one last push. But it could go Cody because of all the freaking things Drew put Cody through to win his title. We don't know. Well, I don't know. I really don't freaking know. But oh well. But yeah, that's my prediction. Other matches, of course, AJ's gonna beat Becky. She's in Chicago, and World Heavyweight Championship. They're not letting Punk lose his title this early, so Punk's gonna win. That's my prediction. Let's see if it turns out what it is. But to the video we go.
Documentary tells.
Oh wait! Did I see what the video was? If I didn't, WWE exploiting women for decades. Wrestling documentaries go crazy, bro. He drops bangers. Hopefully this is another banger. Let's get into it.
Stories that WWE tried to silence.
He actually slapped me, and then he threw me across the room.
I didn't want to do it.
They would do anything for stardom.
The character of Mr. McMahon is really just Vince.
Yo, this era was...
You're really
Yummy.
sorry, Trish? Take your clothes off.
That's crazy, bro.
As of January 2026,
Shout out Melina.
Vince McMahon, former CEO of WWE, is on trial for assault and trafficking. But much of what comes
Holy
to light
crap,
now
I didn't
has
know
been
that.
foreshadowed for
I thought the
decades.
trial was over.
This isn't easy for me.
Countless depraved and humiliating acts.
You want to talk humiliation, huh?
Ew.
You
Oh,
want to
never
talk
mind. That was fun.
humiliation?
I didn't even realize I should have offended. I'm so used to being like, suck it up, buttercup, that I didn't even think about that side of how offensive it actually was.
Over decades,
Yo, they say
Vince McMahon built a kingdom
crashed his
ruled
Bentley.
by fear, where women were female wrestlers were covered, and sex conduct was covered up. But how does WWE handle the responsibility of their dark history?
In Saudi Arabia.
We don't influence society. Society influences us.
Shout out
And
AJ.
not only was it pressure, there was, God, I just hope somebody listens.
You're fired.
Book has it is Vince was a crazy man. Damn, we going back to
Alundra
84?
Blaze started her wrestling training in 1984
Let me tap in.
at age 20. At the time, women's wrestling was a footnote in a sport dominated by men, but Alundra Blaze wanted to change that.
I fell in love. I quit my nursing education and went into wrestling.
Her determination and athleticism quickly set her apart.
You have a physique I know a lot of men are envious of. And you obviously train very hard for a profession that is indeed rare for a female to get into.
Meanwhile, a single mother by the name of Rita Chatterton wrote her name on a dark page of history.
For the
she
first
do?
time ever, a lady referee.
That was an era when women weren't really welcome.
At first, WWE didn't want her in the company, so Chatterton threatened to sue them for gender discrimination and was
What?
subsequently hired.
Rita Marie, ladies and gentlemen, the very first ever lady referee in the World Wrestling Federation.
There was a feel by some guys, like, they're taking money out of my paycheck because they don't really mean anything. It was like a novelty.
In an interview, Rita Chatterton makes some shocking allegations against Pat Patterson, Vince McMahon's right-hand man.
Yo, Pat Patterson.
Just before Chatterton refereed.
Things that I heard about Pat Patterson, bro. Nutty, bro. It's him and Vince is like at the same level, bro. They said Pat was preying on little boys, something like that. Little boys or younger wrestlers. It was like he'll prey on
her first match in the company. Patterson allegedly told the wrestlers in the match to break her legs so she would never want to referee again. Luckily, they didn't harm her, but the allegations don't stop there. In 1986, Chatterton claimed she was raped by her boss, Vince McMahon, in his limousine.
Yo, what?
It was consensual, and actually, had it been, the statute of limitations had run out.
This is the first documented case of alleged in WWE. Chatterton came on a talk show years later to seek justice, but her claims were largely ignored.
People looked the other way. They just thought it was like a woman making up a story on a rich guy.
McMahon insists it's all just a conspiracy to wreck his business.
Chatterton's allegations fell on deaf ears because when the talk show aired, McMahon was already bogged down with several lawsuits that made national headlines.
And it just seems as though they're all ganging up on us all at one time.
However, the press stood still when it came to reporting the darkest of crimes that WWE wrestler Jimmy Snuka is accused of committing.
This one is freaking nuts. I'm not even gonna speak to it. The Snuka story, bro. I heard so many times, bro. It's
of
nuts.
Nancy Argentino.
Pulling back the curtain in the pro wrestling world can be pretty shocking.
This one is,
the stories of depravity of.
Bro, freaking. I'm gonna stop pausing after this. Snuka is literally in 4K, bro. They have so much evidence on him, but
violence, of drug use.
I don't know.
Nancy Argentino was a young woman who found herself trapped in a toxic relationship with one of WWE's biggest stars.
He was cold in the ring, though.
Jimmy Snuka.
Nancy tried to hide the bruises on her body, but her sisters caught on. They encouraged her to leave Snuka, but she stuck with him. In January 1983, Jimmy Snuka was charged with reportedly after beating Argentino in a motel room. 4 months later, Nancy Argentino was found dead at a different motel, her body covered in cuts and bruises.
That expression of there's no such thing as bad publicity, that's BS, because there is.
The coroner who examined the body suspected foul play. The autopsy report specifically recommended the case be investigated as a potential homicide.
Yeah.
Then on June 1st, Vince McMahon met with prosecutors and investigators. What exactly happened in this meeting is unclear, but after McMahon's visit, the case went cold.
I tell you what happened. He had a stone cold briefcase of like $100 million and slid it across the table. I didn't mean to hit the mic. Slid it across the table. That's what happened.
For over 30 years.
And there's nothing I wouldn't do for our business.
Wrestling manager Classy Freddie Blassie has been accused of inappropriate behavior and in the workplace. A former employee said she was her. Another female employee left the company because of him after repeated unwanted advances. Vince McMahon later honored his close friend Freddie Blassie by inducting him into the WWE Hall of Fame. Unfortunately, this is only scratching the surface. Countless other dark incidents were swept under the rug and forgotten by history. But the Ring Boy scandal of the 1980s is a prominent example of how WWE management turned a blind eye to within their company.
Wait, is this...
These were real kids.
Wait. This is what I'm talking about. Pat Patterson was part of this. Touching the little boys.
On McMahon's watch.
They'll lure him in to say you'll be a ring boy. They will teach you how to wrestle. Then they get you.
Pat Patterson allegedly touched not only wrestlers, but
I told you
inappropriately. Wrestler Tony Atlas says he endured it because there was no one to complain to.
You either take it or you go home.
Yep.
Who's you gonna go to?
Couldn't complain to
WWE's
nobody.
Vice
That was
President
Vince right
Pat
hand man.
Patterson resigned amid the PR hellfire, but Vince hired him back once the waters had calmed, allowing him to be continually involved in the shows for decades. Vince and his wife, Linda McMahon, were accused of enabling a toxic work environment where abuse continued to occur unchecked for years. On a 1992 talk show, Vince McMahon confronted one of the purported victims.
Mr. McMahon, do not try to deflect the truth here. First and
What are you
foremost,
asking for? How much money have you asked for?
I have never asked for any amount of money from you. You have tried to buy me off to shut up so I wouldn't come forward and tell of these allegations that's running through the World Wrestling Federation.
Today, Vince McMahon is on trial for assault and WWE is on trial for enabling abusive behavior. 4
Wait, why is
decades of
WWE
circumstantial
on trial? Just put it. I know it's Vince business. You put it.
evidence are piled up in the rear view.
Hey, Tori.
But the history of women in the
Say, Julia
WWE
Hall?
remains a nuanced one.
Yo, wrestling knowledge.
In 1993, Vince McMahon laid eyes on Alundra Blaze.
Way ahead of her time. Way, way, way ahead of her time. In so many ways.
Upon her signing, Alundra Blaze became a central figure in reviving the women's division after 3 years of inactivity.
And I can tell you that the women's division in 1994 is going to be hotter than it has ever been in the World Wrestling Federation.
The company brought in talent like Bull Nakano at her request to provide a new challenge and help elevate the level of competition in the women's division. Alundra Blaze could have been the female Hulk Hogan, but neither the roster nor the fans supported such stardom at the time. Blaze was released from her WWE contract in late 1995, reportedly as a cost-cutting measure. During a financially difficult period for the company, Vince McMahon decided to sacrifice Alundra Blaze, and with her, the women's division.
It's crazy how the women's division.
A few days later,
jumped.
she made a shocking appearance in the rival promotion WCW,
Like,
where she threw
the women's division now from like 10. I'll say it's even 10 years ago, bro. It's so amazing. It's growing so much, bro. The women's are putting on better matches than the men sometimes, bro. Like the Rumble. The Rumble was so good out of the women's, bro. It's like y'all didn't top. They overtopped the men's. I wouldn't be surprised if they overtopped them in the chamber.
WWF
But they got
Women's
Javon in the
Championship
chamber, so he
in
might
the
go
trash.
crazy.
Well, I've got one thing
I remember
you
this
for me, okay?
This is the WWF Women's Championship belt.
Drop it.
After this turning point, the on-screen roles for women in the WWE changed drastically.
The Attitude Era women weren't really considered wrestlers.
In order to help outcompete WCW in the Monday Night Wars, WWE started to market women as sex symbols.
Monday Night Raw
Sonny
contains material which may be
He's in
too
jail now.
hot for some.
Crazy.
As the original diva, Sunny proved this new role for women
That's
to be a
crazy, bro.
success.
She could do it all, but she knew her role. And she knew that what really made her stand out was that she was beautiful.
Top 10.
Like that.
Man, most of the things we were saying and doing, how did we ever get away with that stuff?
As their programming got more extreme, journalists and the general public started to criticize WWE for their portrayal of women.
A lot of times, the highest rating were women.
Beautiful women in skimpy clothes will always catch ratings.
Yeah, but can they wrestle?
Who cares?
I don't even care about this.
In
era anymore. I just
1998,
care
the
about
Women's
wrestling,
Championship was reintroduced after a
That
3-year
was funny, though.
hiatus.
That moment
But
was
most of the
funny.
times, the title defenses
That
were
was
more
Trish.
about innuendo than serious competition.
Driving bodies.
It was just a really exciting time. Whether you agreed with it or you didn't, people watched.
People did watch.
WWE's official position is that they were merely
wasn't alive
following
during this time.
societal trends.
They were all pushing the envelope. We were doing the exact same thing. But we don't influence society. Society influences us.
Starting in 1997,
Vince
Vince Russo
Russo.
played a big part in deciding the company's creative
Loser
direction
Russo.
as head writer
Mike
for
Tyson.
WWE's flagship show, Raw. One of his goals was to increase visibility for women. However, he has admitted that his booking often left women feeling uncomfortable or pressured.
This is a conscious effort on our part to open the creative envelope, so to speak, in order to entertain you in a more contemporary manner.
Who's that? Sable? Is it Sable with Brock Lesnar? Something like that?
Sable was one of the biggest
Stacey
female
Keibler.
stars of the Attitude Era.
She knew exactly what her role was.
I'm not the cheerleader. I'm not the smiley person. I'm the real sensual, sexy, you know, come and get me kind of girl.
She is with Brock.
That stage is mine for that moment. And I'm going to make the most of
10
it.
years older. 13 years younger.
The people went bananas for her.
Sable.
I'm like, she
Top 10.
needs to be more involved in the show.
Sable received a massive push, not as a wrestler, but as an entertainer. Not because of her in-ring skills, but because of her looks. Some women embrace their role as eye candy.
Two girls wrestling each other. I don't think that's what people want to see. They want to see cat fighting.
Ooh, puppies.
The company's own commentary reflected the idea that women were there primarily to look good, rather than to wrestle or develop meaningful storylines.
I don't know if there was a bigger fan of The Godfather and The Hope Train than The King. This was the
doing my research on Sable.
absolute best utilization of beautiful women in the WWE.
The Godfather, an iconic character from the Attitude Era, walked to the ring accompanied by the Hope Train. Most of these women were picked up from strip clubs.
Really?
Former female wrestlers report that things went missing from the locker rooms.
Dude,
an
what the
occupational
heck,
hazard
Vince?
for the so-called divas
Not
during
even
that era,
Russo,
but
what the
hardly
heck?
a
Why we
major
picking up-
concern.
Why we picking up
Women
random
like
people?
Sable, who accepted their roles as objects to gratify a male audience, faced rampant sexism backstage and in their personal life. In 1999, Sable sued WWE for $110 million, citing and unsafe working conditions. She alleged that men would enter the women's dressing rooms or cut holes in the walls to spy on them. The lawsuit also included
Oh. Why? Where was Taker during this moment? I thought Taker was the head of the locker room. Why are they cutting holes in the wall?
claims of
Can't be that
personal belongings
desperate.
being tampered with and pressure by higher-ups to participate in segments she did
Hurt
not want to be a part of.
I was being asked to do things that I felt were totally inappropriate for a wrestling program, and I chose not to do it any longer. Having my clothes ripped off in the middle of a wrestling ring in an atmosphere that I had absolutely no control over was totally inappropriate.
Yeah, that's
Parts of Sable's claims were considered exaggerated or unrealistic, but other women had similar experiences. According to court filings, Nicole Bass claimed she was gripped while undressing and accosted while showering.
What the?
One of the men allegedly threatened retaliation if she reported the incident.
No, she's huge.
Critics claim that WWE turned a blind eye to the dark backstage climate while
huge.
reinforcing the objectification of women through their one-sided portrayal in raunchy segments.
Vince McMahon is part of his time. The difference is that he's in a distinctive position where he reinforces those tendencies rather than challenging or changing or transforming them into something else.
What year we in? 98?
In 1998, Terry Runnels and Jacqueline formed a team called the Pretty Mean Sisters, abbreviated as PMS, a term for a medical condition that is often used in a derogatory way toward women. Both Terry and Jacqueline complained to Vince McMahon, but the decision had already been made. 1 year later, Terry Runnels claims she was forced to participate in wrestling matches, although she preferred her role as a manager.
Who was that?
I begged Vince,
Oh!
please.
Matches, although she preferred her role
Tori Wilson? I don't know who that is. Who is that?
as a manager.
I begged
No,
Vince,
wait, that was,
please, don't make me wrestle, please.
I
That was
will
her?
fire your ass.
Yeah, it was pretty clear that I was gonna wrestle.
In January 1999, the creative team put her in a pregnancy storyline that ended in a miscarriage.
I begged to not do that one. I lost again.
Come on, Vince, bro. Which Vince wrote that up? Which Vince wrote that up? Which one? Which one?
Even Chyna, arguably the strongest female of the Attitude Era, felt pressured by backstage authorities. When her stable DX split up, Chyna did not want to be pushed as a singles
Yo, this nigga Cage just shoot China, bro. Cage just shoot.
competitor. The X split up. China did not want to be pushed as a singles competitor.
China was just this larger-than-life character that people couldn't wait to see.
They wanted me to wrestle by myself. I didn't want to do it.
But if you want to go back to Texas and be a housewife, I can understand your point of view.
The fact that women didn't always have a choice was also apparent in WWE's programming at the time.
Yo.
You can take your pick of either one of these.
Around New Year's 2000,
Road Dogg.
WWE diva
Jesse James.
Tori was overtly objectified. Her company and implied services were put up as a prize for the winner of a match between Kane and Big Show. Sadly, some of WWE's biggest stars have been accused of inappropriate behavior in the workplace. Terry Runnels has alleged that Brock Lesnar himself to her in a locker room in 2002. She said it was simply one of the things a woman had to deal with if she wanted to work in a male-dominated environment. The case of Deborah Marshall, however, is shocking.
What Deborah do?
2 years into her marriage with WWE's top star Stone Cold Steve Austin, she says his anger got the best of him.
He actually slapped me, and then he threw me across the room.
According to Marshall, the next day, she showed up for work with bruises on her face. WWE's makeup team allegedly covered them up for TV.
I never heard of
And
that
they don't
one
want to
before.
hear, this is their top star. They don't want to hear about this. I mean, they got their own problems they're dealing with.
Deborah attributes the change she witnessed in Austin's personality to a mix of alcohol and steroid abuse. Serious problems that WWE knew for decades were common among their wrestlers.
And you got to appreciate the situation you put me in, Deborah.
After repeated assaults, Marshall says she finally called the police. She knew then she had lost her job. Deborah Marshall was not invited back to WWE programming after their divorce. Austin, on the other hand, continued to be featured in various roles, such as commentator and special guest. Upon her departure, Deborah says she signed an NDA, which guaranteed her silence.
I had a 2-year gag order on me before. And then I really didn't want to talk about it. I wanted it to just go away.
In 2007, the Chris Benoit tragedy shocked her awake. Marshall shared her experience and has since spoken in schools to spread awareness about domestic violence. Another infamous incident of a major wrestling star crossing the line took place on the plane.
Oh man, we talk about a plane ride of hell, bro. If you haven't seen, if you don't know about a plane ride of hell, bro, just look up Dark Side of the Ring, plane ride of hell, bro. That plane ride, it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. They was acting a fool in the air. You just gotta watch it, bro. It's Dark Side of the Ring, plane ride of hell, bro.
Ride from Hell.
It's ridiculous.
In May 2002, Ric Flair is accused of
This man,
I remember him crowding.
Man, Ric Flair was, I don't know what he was off of, bro. He had his robe. He had his Nature Boy robe. I'm gonna see if they explain it. If they explain it, I won't even tell you what he did. But if they don't explain it, I'll tell you what he did.
Then like crowding her. And,
Let me go back a bit.
I remember him crowding the flight attendant, like crowding her and
I ain't gonna tell you.
you know, trying to
Rob literally said
take her touch him and stuff.
He was spinning around his and he wanted me to touch it, and he took my hand and put it on him.
He took off his Nature Boy robe and did what they were saying. He said,
Flight attendant Heidi Doyle sued WWE over the extreme and outrageous behavior of Ric Flair and other wrestlers on the transcontinental flight. But despite multiple eyewitnesses to Flair's alleged misconduct, he got off with a slap on the wrist.
Like, picture almost anything you wouldn't do on an airplane. They was doing that. Picture something not nothing too extreme, but they was doing that. Like roughhousing on the plane.
Well, that's a better term. He was a made man. And he was such a high-level made man that he got a pass.
Heidi Doyle's lawsuit was settled out of court. Meanwhile, on TV, the exploitation of women continued. In August 2003, we saw a match where if Test won, Stacy Keibler would literally
Stacey
become
top
his
10.
property.
I'm gonna treat you like the little slut that you are.
During that
Who wrote
time,
this?
Vince
That
McMahon
was
was
Vince
booking
McMahon.
himself in a prominent fashion as an
No,
on-screen
no. Hold on. This period of time, Vince was just booking himself to do any and everything with these women, and it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous.
character.
God, I've defied every law you've ever had and yet been tremendously successful.
In his despicable
Another one. This man even tried to have a match with God, bro. God himself. Like, come on, Vince.
role as Mr. McMahon, he succeeded in getting big reactions from the audience. But looking back, it's hard to watch the chairman of WWE abuse power dynamics between himself and female talent.
So bad.
I got a big surprise for you, Tori.
A table here. Huh? Can you do that? Huh?
People ask me all the time, did you always know you wanted to become a wrestler? No, absolutely not. It wasn't an option back then.
With Jacqueline, Luna, Ivory, and Chyna, the Attitude Era featured plenty of non-stereotypical women, but their roles didn't set the precedent. The recipe for success for women in the WWE was sex appeal. Most women were hired for their looks. Sexy magazines, swimsuit specials, and DVD collections sold in the millions. WWE even encouraged divas to pose nude for Playboy magazine. Sable claimed she was pressured over multiple years until she said yes. Chyna too was on the cover of Playboy. She later found work in the adult entertainment industry, and WWE stopped returning her calls. They distanced themselves from Chyna. When she passed away in disgrace, her fans couldn't help notice the double standards of the wrestling market leader.
Candice Michelle, banger. You just showed her like a couple of clips ago. Was that
if there was a
Victoria?
women's match, it was probably only a few moments, and it probably involved some catfighting more than wrestling.
Former divas revealed they were taught to slap their opponents instead of punching them and encouraged to pull their hair whenever possible.
I just wanted an opportunity to do what I had
No
worked so many
way!
years at developing my craft.
Wrestlers like Ivory,
Bro,
Molly Holly,
I hope they gave her the option to cut her hair, bro. I hope they did not force that. I hope they did not force her to cut her hair.
and Trish Stratus fought to be recognized for their in-ring work, but the deck was stacked against them.
They were in a very tough position of being capable.
No, Lita was
but
hard,
being
bro.
told that's not what the audience wants to see, and that's not what we want you to
There go
do.
Trish.
Molly Holly says women weren't properly trained, which limited their moveset. Ivory complained that women didn't get a chance to build in-ring skill and chemistry with their opponents because competitive women's matches were few and far between.
A match needs to mean something in order for it to be memorable and not just be
That's
this
why
cheap
this
thrill.
age, bro, women's
Instead of
wrestling.
story-driven women's
so
match
good.
at
I
WrestleMania,
love it.
backstage officials preferred a pillow fight between models or a bra and panties match. Divas were assigned a very
Mick Foley.
specific role, but one woman marks the exception to that rule.
Lita and Trish.
When I
great
came into the
wrestlers back then.
WWE, I didn't exactly know what my role would be.
Lita loved wrestling like few others and impressed with her
She got
unique
locked in with my
in-ring
Hardy
style.
Boys, but you did my boy Matt wrong. You did my boy Matt wrong.
She did things in the ring that no diva had ever done before.
Lita was hard, bro.
Because she was unique, Lita sometimes got the loudest crowd reaction of the evening.
Lita overcame every odds. Lita's a new women's champion.
But even as women's champion, her photo shoots were more profitable than her matches.
Lovely Lita.
Lita said she didn't always feel comfortable during the shoots, but she wanted to be part of the show, a sentiment common among wrestlers, regardless of gender.
I don't care if I'm the champ. I don't care if I'm the water boy. Just let me be a part of the show and I'll do my share.
How we doing? Are you trying to get a behind-the-scenes job? There's currently Trish Stratus doll here, but she'll be coming at a later date, hopefully.
Like we say here in the WWF,
Wasn't making action
be
figures for
careful what you
women.
wish for.
There is a statue here of my legs and my butt,
And it's really interesting to see the way that people are touching it and taking pictures of it.
In
That's something Lil
2001,
Mari be
wrestling
on.
veteran Fit Finlay got assigned the task of overseeing and training the women's division.
It was given.
Bro, Finley, I love you, bro, but please don't let me hear something bad with that you've been doing.
To him as a joke to take on the divas. And he said, yeah, you want me to get the divas? I'm going to make them as tough as they come.
Finlay fought for
Victoria
a better
can wrestle
portrayal
too.
of women in a system that was deeply set in its ways.
Times I would get my wrist slapped, I get phone calls and go, hey, Fit, the girls cannot be wrestling like the guys.
Behind the scenes, women found another ally in Stephanie McMahon, the daughter of CEO Vince McMahon. However, Stephanie has also been accused of looking the other way when female wrestlers were mistreated backstage. Stephanie herself largely keeps herself out of the conversation.
And I was never in the locker room per se, so I didn't know what it was really like.
Former wrestler Jazz recounts
Just not thinking about it, bro. I need to watch her and Trish interview on What's Your Story? Because Stephanie was around in Trish era, so Trish might got stuff to say that Stephanie doesn't even know about.
Laurinaitis, who was director of talent relations at the time, saying to her that she was special and that she had a job for life in the WWE. Soon after Jazz lost her women's championship, Fit Finlay told her they didn't have any creative plans for her, so if she wanted to keep her job, she had to come up with a storyline herself.
What the hell?
Jazz claims she wrote a rough outline and gave it to Fit Finlay, who then passed it along to Stephanie McMahon.
The good news is we f***ing loved it. Bad news is we're going to give it to somebody else.
What?
Soon after, Jazz got released. In an interview with
That's
Renee Dupree,
nuts.
she has detailed some of the ways in which
What was her
women
storyline?
wrestlers were treated differently than men. She claimed that while male wrestlers were provided with upscale hotels, female wrestlers got second-rate, budget-friendly motel rooms.
Wait.
Wardrobe malfunctions.
I was told that they had to book their own hotel rooms. Well, if they don't get paid enough, never mind.
Were also common at the time. The skimpy clothing that women were provided with simply wasn't durable enough for a
was that?
wrestling. The skimp motel rooms. Wardrobe malfunctions
Who is that? I don't know who that is.
were also durable enough for a wrestling match. Despite the many challenges they faced, the Divas gradually earned bigger opportunities through their hard work and dedication.
If I gotta be in a bra and panties to get your attention, well, guess what? And now that I have your attention, watch this.
The Dudley Boys.
Trish is ready, willing, and able to deliver stratisfaction, guaranteed.
In December 2004, a high
Trish was
point
cool.
of the
I was more
women's
of a Lita
division.
guy.
Best friends turned bitter rivals. Lita and Trish Stratus made history with the first women's match in the bitter rivals. Lita and Trish
Shelton Benjamin versus Dean and Chad. Who the heck is Dean and Chad?
Stratus made history with the first women's match in the main event of Raw.
What?
Another
Yo,
memorable
hold on. I
storyline
remember
kept
that. Go
women's match
back. I know it might make y'all cringe, but this one, Lita, I think she broke her neck.
in the main event of Raw.
She broke her neck here. Oof.
Another memorable
She broke something.
storyline came when Mickie James joined the company. She and Trish showed everyone that they could do more than just look good.
Mickey could wrestle too.
It is
Now we in my time period.
unbelievable
Now I
what
know
we
where
have
we
done
at.
and where it's come from.
But these widely
the hell?
reported success stories were not the norm. Wrestling fans have criticized official WWE documentaries for their attempt to revise history.
That's,
In their eyes,
damn, I can't think
WWE
of her
prides
name.
itself on their
Maria.
glorious achievements while glossing over the systemic issues at play behind the scenes. It's a hard fact that in wrestling, the backstage aspect is
John
just
Cena?
important as how good you are in front of the camera. Countless former divas say that the field of possible roles for women in WWE was thin, and the few roles that were available often reinforced negative stereotypes. But refusing a role could mean career ruin.
You can speak your mind and maybe get a push, or you can speak your mind and lose a job. You just never know.
I think it's more if you become too smart and you're like, wait, this isn't right.
Damn, Maria playing a dumb
That's
girl.
when you're usually gone.
Crazy.
Tori Wilson explains the dilemma she
Shout out
faced
Tori
as a
Wilson, bro. I
model in a
love Tori-
company that
I
kept
love Tori
pushing
Wilson,
women's
bro.
boundaries.
I remember
She be on Twitter.
specifically a house show.
She be on Twitter. Get folks be. It's funny. Folks be like, they'll say something like, "Dang, Tori Wilson was bad back in the day," and she'd be like, "Thanks, I know," something like that. Tori be trolling back on Twitter, bro. I love Tori.
That I was in this like bikini showdown, standing in the corner,
Top 3.
watching one of the girls
Still
dance in the
top
middle,
3.
literally fighting back tears because it was just like it got to like a raunchy point, you know, and I'm like, I don't want to be a part of this, but that was also my job. It was mortifying.
Wilson remembers multiple instances where she felt she couldn't afford to say no, even though the proposed idea made her uncomfortable.
You will be fired.
Lita was also pressured into problematic roles. 2004, Lita was abducted by Kane and coerced into having sex with him. She got pregnant, and the storyline ended in a miscarriage. According to Lita,
Yo, Vince, you did this twice. Why are we doing this twice, Vince? Why? This storyline is also in Here Comes the Pain. Comes to the gaming channel. You might see it.
in 2006 she was forced to be nude under the covers.
Yeah. Folks keep bothering me about some BS. I can't forget show today video. Yo, what the heck was that I felt? I don't know. Let's get back into it. We was at the Lita and the Edge scene. Crazy work.
In front of 5,000 fans
Crazy
for Edge's
work.
live sex celebration. She said she was threatened with
That was crazy, bro. In front of what? Let's just say 3,000 people. How many people you said?
1,000 fans for Edge's
3,000 people and people watching on TV. And this is, you can still find this episode on Peacock, I think.
live sex celebration. She said she was threatened with termination if she didn't participate in the segment. Lita has been speaking about this since 2007, but the public didn't care until many years later. WWE repeatedly crossed her personal boundaries. Lita became disillusioned with the company, and even though she had an intense passion for the business, she felt she had to leave. But not before being humiliated and one last time.
Why?
After Lita's last match, the tag team Crime Time auctioned off her personal belongings, including hygiene products, worn underwear, and a
I'm gonna buy our panties. Hey, can I get a smell first?
Oh,
You wanna talk
I don't remember
humiliation?
that episode.
Huh? You wanna talk humiliation?
This segment was Vince McMahon's idea of the send-off Lita deserved after everything she had done for the sport.
That's nuts.
The writing team under McMahon's oversight was reluctant to challenge his authority, especially when it came to the women's division. The general culture of the WWE writers' room during this time was one of fear and compliance. Former writers described the company as a kingdom ruled by fear and saw themselves less as creative storytellers and more as transcribers for Vince McMahon's dark fantasies. In a 2001 episode of Raw, Kurt Angle on Vince's daughter, Stephanie. Stephanie struggled at first and then started enjoying it. But to assuage her boyfriend Triple H, she said,
Wait. Never mind.
Her.
I was about to say, wasn't Hunter and Stephanie dating at this time? But when you in the game, bro, at that point you can't even be mad at it.
An equally disturbing storyline began in December 2005. Melina offered to have sex with Batista so that he wouldn't compete in a match. But when Batista turned down the favors she offered, Melina sued him for harassment.
I told Batista to stop.
What the?
And he did it.
Yo, who wrote this
He
storyline?
used his power and
Who wrote
influenced
this
his world champion and forced me into having relations. I've decided to take a stand, suing him for harassment.
Mere weeks after this, reality wrote a darker story than anything Vince McMahon could come up with.
What? Oh my goodness, Ashley was a freaking
Ashley
dog,
Massaro was
bro.
the winner of the
RIP Ashley.
2005 WWE Divas Search Contest. On a WWE tour through the Middle
Wait, is that
East, she experienced severe abdominal cramps at an army base in Kuwait, which led her to seek medical attention at the US military clinic. Here, Massaro claims she was drugged and raped by someone posing as a US Army doctor, with a nurse present. After the alleged assault, WWE executives were informed and met with Massaro. She said they apologized, but urged her not to report the incident to authorities, allegedly to protect WWE's relationship with the military. According to Massaro's affidavit, Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis, and Stephanie McMahon were present. She described the meeting as intimidating with no real support offered.
What the heck?
Her affidavit was used in 2017 in a class action lawsuit against WWE and was released to the public posthumously when Massaro died of an overdose of prescription medication. She had struggled with PTSD from her experience in Kuwait. Her death was ruled a suicide. WWE's history contains numerous underreported and deeply troubling stories involving women whose fate was obscured by non-disclosure agreements, industry silence, and systemic power imbalances. Lawsuits tell of executives that covered up sexual conduct happening within their company, while portraying caricatures of the same serious crimes for entertainment purposes on television.
In 2007 now.
In the years to come, there was real progress in the women's division. Undressing your opponent no longer won
Michelle
you the
McCool.
women's championship.
Eve.
When
Darcy.
women's wrestlers of the 2000s retire, they are above all
Victoria.
grateful.
Don't bite the hand that feeds you. They let me travel the world. They put food on my table.
There's people in the company that are good people. I would say 90% of the company
Michelle
is
McCool.
amazing. That 10%, not so much.
Sadly, the established backstage culture still made it difficult for the women who worked there. Mickie James had been dating John Cena for around 2 years. When they broke up in late 2009, Cena reportedly asked WWE management to transfer Mickie James to the SmackDown brand so they wouldn't have to see each other
Damn,
every
John, you
day.
did it?
Unfortunately, this was the beginning of the end for Mickie James' career.
Yo,
That's
what the
all, folks. Piggy James' career. She came, she ate, she cried, she ate some more.
It's crazy because Mickie
The
James
Mickie
wasn't
James
even fat.
storyline was tasteless. Mickie said in an interview that she felt punished. Apparently, her career suffered because of an unrelated choice she had made in her personal life.
Crazy.
When she was released, she got her personal belongings sent to her in a trash bag.
I didn't even realize I should have been offended. I'm so used to being like, suck it up, buttercup, that I didn't even think about that side of how offensive it actually was.
But there was a
Now,
new generation ready
NXT.
to take the fight to the establishment.
AJ, Nikki, AJ.
AJ Lee's greatest strength was that
She's
she
on Chamber
separated
tomorrow. I mean,
herself
tonight.
from the character she
Tomorrow.
played,
I'm recording this on
which was
Friday.
the only way to make it as a feminist woman in NXT Season 3.
Nice footwork there by AJ.
Wait, Naomi?
It was like a humiliation ritual. All the competitions were like
Caitlyn was
embarrassing.
top
And,
3
yeah, and
till
like
she cut
the
half of her hair.
announcers were just like making fun of us.
Honestly, are we here to wrestle?
AJ Lee said in an interview that higher-ups would come to check if
Whoa.
their manicures were done correctly. AJ Lee said in an interview that higher-ups would come to check if their manicures were done correctly. If their hair wasn't
Hornswoggle.
long enough, they had to wear extensions. Their weight would be commented on.
I was told no one would want to have sex with me.
I don't think you realize how many times we've been offended. I'm so numb to
Oh,
getting
Mickey.
my feelings hurt, or like I'm so used to like, oh, you gotta separate your ego from it. Don't take it personal. It's just business.
Carly Perez, known during her time in WWE as
I was wondering who
Maxine,
that was,
shed light
but I
on
don't know.
childish abuse of power and a
I don't
lack of
remember her.
professionalism behind the scenes.
very juvenile stuff. You don't shake someone's hand, it could set them off. You don't say hi to someone, it could set them off.
EC3.
You wear something wrong, it could set them off. I mean, it's just stuff that really shouldn't dictate somebody's entire career.
There was so much pressure on the girls
Alicia
to
Fox,
conform to a mold.
Yo, Total
And
Divas
not
went
only
hard. I used to
was
watch
it
Total Divas
pressure,
all the
there
time, not
was,
knowing what was actually going on.
You would sort of be punished if you didn't.
Excuse me.
Many of the problems that started during the Attitude Era were still an issue as late as 2015. It wasn't until wrestling
Wait, man, let's get back into it.
fans started a movement that WWE was willing to give divas a chance. At the 25th anniversary show of Monday Night Raw,
Kelly.
WWE paid tribute
Jacqueline?
to some of the most influential women in the history of the company, but it didn't really feel like an honor for those involved.
The 25th anniversary, it turned out that literally all we women did was just walk out and do this, which was sad.
It's messed up, but
3 months later, in April 2018, WWE found themselves in the crosshairs again for a controversial decision.
We will host the first ever WWE women's match in Saudi Arabia.
After much deliberation, the Saudi government finally allowed female athletes to compete in their country. Female fans were allowed to attend, but only if accompanied by a male guardian. Lacey Evans and Natalya wore full-body attire. The promo package for their match was heavily censored. Official WWE productions framed the event as a beacon of hope in a changing country. In fact, female fans in attendance chanted, "This is hope." But the broader reality for Saudi women remains one of significant legal and social
I'm gonna be real with you. I'm not a fan of the Saudi events. I know y'all doing it for a paycheck, like the freaking Rumble. I wasn't a fan of the event. I'm not a fan of the events being in huge arenas like Vegas and Saudi, bro. Because the fan interaction is at a low.
restrictions.
And we're going back to Vegas.
Despite
we're going back
many
to Vegas in
improvements,
April.
women in Saudi Arabia remain second-class citizens when it comes to marriage, divorce, and child custody. Women's rights activists continue to be suppressed, and investigative journalists still risk imprisonment or worse for reporting what the government calls false news. Of course, WWE does not mention these facts when they're trying to sell a pay-per-view. Saudi Arabia pays sports companies billions of dollars to make their country a top tourism destination, a practice known as sports washing.
The Saudi government is using sports in order to whitewash, as it were, some of its dubious human rights records.
WWE's partnership with the absolutist government has been widely criticized for these reasons.
Speaking of paychecks out of WWE, bro, I would love to go to another WWE event, bro. I went to one, I think last year. I think it was last year. Let me check my phone real quick. I know I went to one in 23, and I think I went to one last year. You see, I went to one last year. I went to one in 23, and I said, bro, this is my last WWE event, because not only because the tickets are expensive, bro. Yeah, it wasn't May 25. Yeah, May 25. Let's see if you can see me. Yeah, that's me right there. This kid right here holding the sign, bro, he kept holding up a sign every time, bro, and I could people beside me couldn't even see the match. I got freaking annoyed. He had a sign for every person. I'm like, bro, put the freaking sign down. I was about to rip the freaking sign down, bro. He had a sign for every single freaking person. It was ridiculous, but it's just too expensive at this time, bro. It's like, I'm not paying freaking $600 to sit where I want to sit. I'm not paying freaking $200 to sit in the nosebleed. If I want to sit in the nosebleed, I might as well just stay at the house. Like, that's just me. That's an off-the-topic situation, but let's get back to
There are two layers to WWE's of women. One we saw play out on TV, but oftentimes the derogatory storylines were only a caricature of the dark realities that awaited female workers behind the curtain.
Vince McMahon must have absolute authority and power.
breaking news that was just brought to me. Vince McMahon, the legendary CEO and chairman of Worldwide Wrestling Entertainment, is stepping aside.
A lawsuit against him that contains some of the most graphic details imaginable.
According to legal documents, Janelle Grant first met Vince McMahon because they lived in the same apartment complex. Grant was at a low point in her life. McMahon showed her a lot of attention and eventually offered her a position in his company in exchange for favors. Grant dipped a toe in murky waters and got sucked into a black hole of and blackmail. Over the next 3 years, Grant claims she was into maintaining
wait.
relations.
Was this the girl that Vince handed to Brock? And bro, that was
with various men before, during, and after work hours. Among them, Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis.
He and McMahon were the bosses. We can't forget it. These were the supervisors. These were the bosses. That is such an important part of this lawsuit.
Get on your hands and knees like a dog. Oh, for God's sakes.
The character of Mr. McMahon is really just Vince.
She's a human being. I used to have a female dog, and that bitch did everything I told her to do. Now, damn it, get out.
What the hell?
Exactly the same person. It's not a far stretch.
Yo, get this loser off my.
I don't think she's feeling you, man. I don't.
Take your skirt off, and take it off now.
Like so many women before her, Janelle Grant was trapped in a difficult situation where refusal would mean career ruin and public humiliation.
And I admit I went too far. I did. I got carried away, and she could have said no at any time, all right?
In January 2020, Linda McMahon found out about her husband's so-called affair and threatened divorce. Janelle Grant later signed an NDA and was released. The settlement reportedly included a $3 million payment to Grant in exchange for her silence. But despite the NDA, Grant sued McMahon, which sparked various independent investigations and brought to light more disturbing stories that prove what we already know.
They would do anything for stardom.
One former wrestler claimed McMahon coerced her into and then demoted and released her when she resisted further advances circa 2005. Following her allegations, McMahon paid her $7.5 million in exchange for her silence. Another WWE contractor claimed McMahon sent her unsolicited naked photos of himself. McMahon responded with $1 million in hush money in 2008. In 2012, John Laurinaitis had an affair with a female wrestler, and when she ended the affair, she allegedly faced workplace retaliation, which led to a $1.5 million settlement. For decades, a combination of fear, trauma, and pressure from WWE leadership has kept victims silent. But starting in 2016, more and more women have come forward and raised their voice. Former wrestler Ashley Massaro related her traumatic experience of in a sworn legal statement, despite her NDA risking ruinous financial penalties in the process. In 2022, the Speak Out Act was passed, allowing survivors to seek justice even if they signed an NDA. This allowed Janelle Grant to file the lawsuit against McMahon.
McMahon recruited individuals to have relations with Miss Grant.
Countless depraved and humiliating acts.
Just for the record, I didn't force you to do any of those things last Monday, did I?
According to Janelle Grant's legal statement, Vince McMahon shared explicit photos and videos of her with referees, producers, executives, and current top star Brock Lesnar. According to Grant's complaint, McMahon told her to create personalized content for Lesnar. Lesnar then allegedly demanded a video of her urinating. When Grant came forward, lawyers advised WWE to remove Lesnar from the shows to protect themselves. 2 years later, he returned.
It's funny, he returned.
The crowd reaction was massive. A majority of the fans didn't see a problem with his return, arguing he is innocent until proven guilty. And after all, Lesnar isn't even on trial. Others argue that WWE is not taking its accountability seriously. Inside sources report that backstage staff felt deeply uncomfortable with the company's decision. Some female employees felt disrespected and called the situation disgusting.
Wrestling, or whatever this is, has survived scandals before, and there is no reason to believe this one too will be drowned out by all those fans who couldn't care less.
When we watch wrestling today, it's important to remember WWE does not want to change society, nor do they advocate for any political agenda. Their only motivator is money. Money and money alone dictates their company policy. They admit small mistakes and focus on the part of the story that makes them look good. They only address problems when fan outrage makes ignorance unprofitable. They distance themselves from Vince McMahon not because of his alleged transgressions, but because this time, he failed to clean up after himself.
I'll see you all in hell!
He hadn't been arrested for yet, though, when we did that, right? He had?
Yeah, he had.
Much of great fiction is that funny line between reality and storytelling. Vince loved blurring that line between fact and fiction.
Hey, man. I ain't got nothing to say, bro. Just hope y'all enjoy the chamber tonight. I'm gonna enjoy it. Get at y'all boys on the next one.